Live here at DigiMarcon Texpo, San Diego. It is a privilege to be here right now with our very special guest, Mr. Raymond Hughes. Of course, he likes to go by Ray or Chief, so we'll introduce him as Chief. And he is the chief at DoD Training Center. In fact, I was privileged to hear a little bit about your military background. We'll get into that for a minute. But you're the CEO or the chief executive of the San Diego office of the DoD Training Center. And while you're here today with us at this, especially the Texpo Hall, we've been talking a lot about AI and marketing. I'd love to hear your background, how you got involved, especially on the IT cybersecurity side of things. And then we'll dive a little bit into your thoughts on AI and how things are evolving.
Excellent. Well, number one, thank you for the invite and having me here. It's great to be a part of the Texpo and DigiMarcon, and just to get a chance to share insights and different things with people here, meeting lots of different folks and personalities. You've been very gracious in having me here and accommodating my interns. I'd love to talk about that as well. Uh, so
They've
yeah,
been very helpful, by the way. So, yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. I told them, I said, y'all gonna catch a beating if so.
That's
Turn
distinct
so
motivation.
turn
Yeah.
turn. Yeah, you're right. Rattle the stick a little bit. Turn
Yeah.
two. So you mentioned about my career and my start. So I've been playing with computers since I was 8 years old. My first computer was a Commodore 64. I decided, hey, I think I want to do computers. And then in '92, got AOL. My mother bought a a early Windows machine. We went from Windows 3.1 to Windows 95. And then you've got mail and
Yeah.
that kind of whole thing. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I get to play games and stuff on my computer. Like I didn't, before back then it was just Nintendo. Come time I turn 18 and I'm supposed to do something with my life and my career, my mother goes, you should join the Navy. Now, I come from a Navy family. My grandfather was in the Navy. He was a stewardsman. My father was a boatswain's mate, second class in the Navy. And so,
Distinguished line.
right,
Yeah.
this very distinguished line. And then my brother and cousins, homeboys from across the street, everybody was joining the military out of like my neighborhood. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go.
Mhm.
I joined the military and I'm like, I want to either do computers or I want to fly. Well, I'm halfway colorblind, kind of, just not good enough vision to be a pilot.
Mhm.
So they said, okay, you can either be CTR, you can do corpsman, or you can do. It was something else. I think they said AZ or something dealing with administrative maintenance. Nothing about being IT. I'm like, well, I want to be in IT. Well, you'll be around computers. And so the long story short of it is, I joined the military as an undesignated airman, and then in a long process, I got recommended to become what's called a cryptologic technician operator, which was basically the IT for the CTs. All of the same systems, all of the same computers and crypto gear, but higher clearance.
Mhm.
Well, great. What do I do now? So they sent me to a whole bunch of schools, and I wound up having a 20-year career, 20 years, 6 months to the date that I retired, and retired as an information systems technician chief. And so, as the chief information systems technician, I ran a division of IA personnel and information assurance personnel, information systems security officers, system administrators, basically a whole gaggle of ITs whose whole job is to go out, fill it, fix it, secure it, and make sure that they're making the right reports. And then my job was to do investigations and report things up and down the chain of command.
Mhm.
At the time of retirement, and this is where we get into the current function of DoD Training Center, I was the cyber workforce manager, information systems security manager, and the IA division leading chief petty officer, which means basically make sure everybody's trained to do what they're supposed to do, and then they go out and go and lead and train and fix and figure out what's wrong with these computers. My business partner that was training my sailors at the time when I was in uniform, 3 years, was kept scouting me out. Hey, when do you retire? When you gonna? Hey, Ray, when you gonna retire? You ready yet? You about to retire? And so when I finally decided maybe I might want to retire,
He kept elbowing you,
yeah,
right?
oh,
Yeah.
jabbing me. He's a fitness buff. So when I decided to retire, he called me up and said, "Hey, I want you to show up here. Come pick up this case of computers. By the way, go get an EIN, TIN, and figure out an office space for yourself, and then we'll go from there." And literally, that's how DoD Training Center in San Diego was stood up.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. And in your view, having all that IT experience, you've seen the changes over the year. I mean, you were
Absolutely.
talking about like 3.1 and, you got mail and dial up,
Right. I
you know.
mean, could you
So,
imagine dial up today?
oh geez,
Dude,
yeah, right.
500 megabyte hard drives were sexy back, like, ooh, 500 megabytes.
Yeah, now
So
that's
we're
like one photo. Yeah.
2000, like we're talking about 2001, 2, 3,
Yeah.
when we got these Seagate 500 megabyte hard drives, and they were, oh yeah, 500 megabytes and yada yada. And this
You'll
is
never run out of
screaming.
space. Yeah.
No, we'll never use all of that up. Please.
Yeah.
5 gigabyte hard drives for your PlayStation these days, and
Yeah.
it's like that's not even nowhere near enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, the IT industry has come so far and has changed so much simply because it. They literally did a study and they stated that technology every 3 years doubles its capacity,
Hmm.
and every year over year, at least a 50 to 100% increase in its capability in one area or another. So all of these semiconductors and things that used to be what was called magnetic media
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
back then, right? 1.544 megabits per second, folks. That's a T1 line. That is also the same capacity of your 3 1/4 floppy and your 5 1/4 floppy that the 3 1/4 floppy succeeded, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's nothing today. That's not even a unit of measurement these days. That's how much IT has changed. And things like silicone media, where, matter of fact, silicone media is becoming obsolete, where now you have this digital media that's in a card format that can store so much data it's unfathomable. That an SD card is about the size of your pinky, right?
Right. Yep.
So SD card about the size of your pinky that now is able to store terabytes
Hmm.
of data. When I first got my first thumb drive, that was literally the size of like two of my thumbs. 32 megabytes, folks. 32
That was
megabytes.
it.
That was it.
That's all you get. Yep.
So the speed of increase in the increase in technology and capability around IT, it's only ever going to increase and go further and faster. And they're going to figure out how to make it smaller and more functional. And then, just like the computer itself, back when Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were both inventing Microsoft and Apple, and they used to work together, right? They were working on the IBM projects, and IBM said, "Well, we'll never the people will never have computers on their desktop. What would they need that for? Where will they work? Today, don't we all work from home?"
Yeah.
That's how the industry has changed.
Well, back then too, the argument was also, why can't you just use a command line? Why do we need a visual interface?
Well,
Yeah.
also true. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's this GUI thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Saying the only thing GUI is supposed to be nougat. Right. The stuff in their Snickers, in a Snickers
Yeah.
bar
Yeah.
and stuff.
Snickers bar. Yeah.
So just but it's changed so much, and people that didn't have the foresight then are behind the curve now. You don't hear about IBM unless you are in the enterprise network, enterprise tech space. Otherwise, everybody on the commercial sector understands Apple, Android, Microsoft, Windows.
Mhm. So, what are your thoughts on AI and how that specifically is changing everything, especially in
Uh,
cybersecurity now? Right? Yeah.
AI. So AI is the thorn in my side, and at the same time, my ally.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to AI, automation is really heavily pushed in the cyber community, because if you can automate these processes and have some bot that is able to manage and monitor your environment, you can do these IT functions pretty much tens to hundreds of times faster than what it would take for a regular human to do it.
Hmm.
At the same time, you cannot leave it to just the AI to take those actions, because it has to be programmed properly, and it always needs to be secondated and fact checked in order to make sure that the right processes have happened. So you never leave it just to the AI, but AI is considered a force multiplier, which means AI can do the work of 10 people with just one person operating that console. So imagine 10 people operating AI consoles
Hmm.
to do whatever function that they need done. And you can expand that across a global enterprise. Now I don't need you all sitting in one data center, because one person can operate the AIs and do that, right?
Hmm.
Now, that's where you get the benefits of it as the force multiplier. The drawbacks
Here we
is
come.
where, right? Okay, there's always a thing of security. If Because AI is nothing but a computer, it can be hacked. It can be tainted with bad data. Just the same way, if you were to teach something bad to a child, a bad habit to a person, and Now, let's say the person drinks or smokes, and you go, "That's bad for your health. That's bad," right? Okay, imagine having to tell a computer,
Yeah, right.
a dumb object,
Yeah.
that hey, you're sick. So AI can be tainted, and that's the problem. That's where you need to have a secure infrastructure around that AI technology,
Hmm.
and make sure that um, no one outside that environment, no one who shouldn't have access to it is getting to it, nor anybody feeding it. And remember, the AIs are designed, at least the GPTs and the public AIs, they're made to learn. I mean, we're sitting here at the marketing conference, and they're talking about how you can program different AIs to understand how you think, prompt it with a few different things, and then you give it the scenario and say, "Hey, I want to do this for this kind of function."
Hmm.
And so imagine that being put in reverse. There's AIs that can be used for hacking,
Right. Yeah.
that can be used for information gathering, and not in a positive way.
Hmm.
And so there needs to be a lot of security and regulation around the use of AI, and that's kind of the big discussion that's happening at the federal level.
Hmm.
But everybody wants to use it because
Yes.
it's great. It takes me an hour to write a post. It does. I'm slow.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, put it in the chat GPT. Great. And,
Done.
I'm
Like that.
not a supporter of one GPT versus another. I'm just saying put it into one of those AIs
Yep.
and it will spit it out in 5 minutes. You tweak it, and so what takes me an hour to do to get my mojo flowing,
Hmm.
a AI bot can do in a matter of seconds.
So it sounds like, if anything, cybersecurity is actually more important than it ever was before, not less.
Extremely.
And that idea of like the AI is going to take over, and especially in the cybersecurity realm, seems to be actually contra like the evidence, right? If anything, it seems like there's more need now for humans to be involved, right?
So I would think
Yeah.
you would think that, but see, then there's the corporate market, and
Ah,
this is something
yes.
that people need to understand. Companies want to do it faster, better, with less manpower,
And
so
cheaper.
they're going
Yeah.
and cheaper,
Yeah.
right? Which don't get me wrong, once you've built the AI, it is cheap.
Yeah.
However, the need for vigilance and security is what's going to increase. So, my recommendation for anybody who's kind of worried about your jobs, nobody's irreplaceable. This is just a hard fact of life,
Hmm.
right? They said we would never need to put horses into a metal machine and make it run, and now we got cars.
Yeah. Right.
They said
Yeah.
that we would never run these cars off of electricity vice fossil fuel, and now we have electric vehicles. Same thing with the AIs, and they are going to take jobs and remove some people from the market. The ones who were not prudent enough to front run it and figure out, well, how do I participate in that AI market? So for the AI market, I generally break it down into, and these are unofficial terms, but just something to make it easy for the general population, because we us tech folks, we have all kinds of acronyms and things that we
Yeah.
use.
And some people are like, wait, what was that?
We,
It's
we,
overhead,
you
overhead,
know,
overhead. Yeah.
the GCPC, Lucy Blasi, and like, what's that?
Yeah.
So in AI, you're either going to be the programmer,
Hmm.
engineer, or the prompter. Then you have the user. The users are not the tech people. The users, just like using a computer, they're outside the industry. They use a product, right?
Right. Yeah.
So think about, if you subscribe to ChatGPT or whichever one of these GPTs, great. So you're a user. Then you got people that are prompting those things. Hey, make my AI understand me so that I can use it to do these things. There's a person who has a skill in prompting those and learned and figured out how to make it speak their language.
Hmm.
Then there's the engineer who goes, okay, I'm going to build a whole environment around this so that we have the CPUs and the computers now running AI on GPUs, some of that offloading, and figuring out new ways how to run it better, faster, make it smaller. Those are the engineers. Somewhere between software, hardware, and electrical engineering
Hmm.
to take all of this and squish it down into, I don't know, something the size of this.
Like a
Oh,
coin. Yeah.
yes, like a coin. Matter of fact, actually, we're going to come back to this. This is special.
Hmm.
Uh, but how to make it run faster, better, smaller, and to keep it cool, because processing, of course, creates heat. And then you got the software writers, those who code and create and write the AI code to make it do what it does. Matter of fact, one of my students had brought up a really great idea about making a language that is specifically meant for the AI, but that is stripped down beyond some of the more simpler languages, like even a Python. And I go, that's a crazy concept. So I said, why don't you write it? He's like, I can't write it. I said, why not? So You want to be in one of those spaces and front run AI.
Yeah, if you got an idea and it hasn't been done yet, jump on it and make it happen. Yeah.
Today, not
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah, not three
If you
weeks from
don't,
now. Yeah.
right? If you don't have the skill, go get the skill.
Yeah.
Right? There's companies like mine that does training. There's all kinds of online forums and things.
Yeah, let's talk more about that actually. What are your advice for people that maybe are interested in a let's say a job that's related to IT or tech
Mm.
or AI, especially in the current environment? And then you can also talk more about what you specifically do at your training center.
Oh, sweet. I mean, I wasn't trying to talk about me, but
No, I think it's interesting. It's good. It's very
thank you.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, for anybody who's interested in the quote unquote tech space, I
Mhm.
do not like using that term when people describe it. Oh, I'm a tech.
Right. What does that mean?
What,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of
What
tech
kind of
are
tech?
you? So the
I have
first,
wires coming out of my ears. I'm a
right?
tech. Yeah.
See, now that was me last weekend. So
Yeah.
I'm doing a tech assist downtown. But if you want to get into the tech space, whatever that tech looks like, the first thing you want to do is to research what you're interested in. Take some time, sit down, write down the things that you like about tech. What are you really for doing?
Mhm.
If you like robotics, well, that's a form of tech, and it is a form of programming and coding. But it's Scratch and Unity, but it's not Python per se.
Right. Yeah.
Although you can write some robotics code in Python, but that's a whole nother module that you got to import and run with. So it's a whole different set of skills you're using. Figure out what you want to do. Some people go, I want to do IT. Well, what kind of IT do you want to be? Do you want to be help desk
Mhm.
level 1, 2, or 3? Do you want to specialize in Windows or Linux systems? Then, what type of are you running a server environment, corporate environment? Do you want to
Mhm.
run Apple Mac? And that's just being a general IT help desk. Oh, you need to know everything. Okay, it's impossible to know everything. So figure out what type of IT that you want to be. Two, you need to get a roadmap. Develop your roadmap or talk to a company like Jumpstart to Tech um, that will help you build these roadmaps. But whether you pay somebody or whether you talk to somebody, know somebody that's in the industry, find yourself a mentor that is going to help you get to where you want to go. This thing of like
That's
guidance
huge.
counselors, right?
Yeah.
So guidance counselors used to be able to tell you, here's how you get to the career you want to be in. In the military, we called it mentors.
Yes.
Mentors used to be a public term, and I don't know where the heck it went, but we
Yeah.
use it a lot. So mentors tell you how to get to their point of where they're at in their careers, but help you do it earlier, faster, easier without making all the same mistakes they made,
Mhm.
although you're going to make mistakes, right? But get a mentor and learn what they know. Somebody who's ahead of you, higher in rank or status than you,
Mhm.
who has what you want. Go talk to them and go, what did you do?
Mhm.
Okay. Number three, today, not yesterday, today.
Man of action, right here.
Right?
That's what we call him,
Oh,
chief.
absolutely.
Yes.
You have to be a person. We can go gender neutral, but no. So be a person of action. That means write down your plan. Have your plan of action and milestones. Immediate goals, intermediate goals, long term goals. You can start with you can do it either way. You can either go long term and then back it down, or go here's the immediate thing that I want to do, and then where do I see myself 1, 3, 5 years from now,
Mhm.
right? Every single one of the vendors, we're talking about CompTIA, ISC Squared, ISACA, EC Council, they all have their kind of career roadmap where they
Mhm.
will tell you what certs align with the different career paths. You want to research those things so that you understand where you're trying to go.
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, looking for what interests you most. Do not do IT because you think that it's sexy or that it's like this is the new hotness.
Mhm.
Do not do IT because you think that it's going to pay you a lot of money. You will hate your life.
Mhm.
And well, I love life, so I want
Yeah. Right.
let's keep it nice. I want everybody to live, but
Psychological pain.
right, psychological pain.
Yeah.
I don't want people going to work every day, hating their careers and their
Right.
lives. You
Yeah.
do something that really interests you. So pick that part because there's going to be days of mundaneness and things that are just the regular status
Mhm.
quo until things happen. Me, I'm an information buff. I come from a cryptologic intel background, so me doing analytics and stuff, oh, love it.
Mhm.
So as a ISSM, the military equivalent of a CISO or a CIO,
Mhm.
but I do all of the network. Well, in the Navy, I did the network investigations, and I used to do what's called night ops.
Mm.
Night ops is when I go and I search through the network for
Mhm.
all of the contraband and forbidden stuff, and
Oh, what a cool job. That's
98%
fun.
of the
Yeah.
time, nothing.
Yeah.
And every now and
You
then,
get a
somebody get a
gold
little fry.
mine. Yeah.
Whoo, what's that? So,
Yeah.
um, for me, I like doing those things. Analytics. So, from like, I love the CYSA exam.
Mhm.
I've taken it several times as they've done new releases, and I like doing it because they give me these performance based problems where they give me a system, and I have to go through it and go find the problem.
Mhm.
So for me, analytical things in cyber interest me. I love doing that.
Mhm.
So for whatever that is for you, you're going to want to go research and figure out what that is. Start getting smart in that. Follow the roadmap that you have. Get a mentor who's going to help you along the process. Final thing is networking.
Yeah.
It is not just what you know, but who you know.
That's a huge part of it. That's why we're here at the conference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. The IT and cyber industry is so saturated with people right now going, I want to be IT, I want to be
Mhm.
cyber. And so the companies go, well, why do I hire you?
Yep.
Well, because I want to be an IT. That's not enough.
That's yeah. It's
Right.
not going to pass the mustard. Yeah.
So you got to have a real passion for it. You got to know what you're talking about. And then the final thing is having a leg in, a warm lead, right?
Mhm.
Since we're at DigiMarcon as well, having a warm lead is always much better than going into an interview cold
Mhm.
and them not knowing who you are. That means you have to have a stellar resume,
Yes.
right? Speaking of which, let me go on to number 5, and this is the final thing, the final thing. Okay, these combinations of things will be the best way to get into IT, right? If you look at the posts on LinkedIn and the different forums and
Mhm.
stuff, LinkedIn, Indeed, USA Jobs, and a couple of other sites. Is Monster even a thing anymore?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not really.
So,
Yeah.
but these other job sites,
Indeed and LinkedIn are kind of the main ones now.
Indeed and
Yeah.
LinkedIn, those are the two main ones that like I tell my students to go to.
Yeah.
We're gonna come to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we got to pivot over to
So,
your students and what you
absolutely.
do with DoD. Yeah.
But I will tell folks, go get on those two sites. Make sure that you have a well descripted profile so that speaking of AI, you know that on those sites, the first thing that looks at you is not a human.
Yeah. Of course.
It's so
It's
they use
pre-screened by computers.
by
Yeah.
by computers and bots.
Yeah.
So again, somebody find me a cyber technician with 5 years of experience for entry level job with and that's how they do this.
Yeah.
So you're going to want these 5 things when you go to get your job.
Yeah.
You want
100%.
to have your education complete, a 2, 4, 6 year degree, and certifications, which is number 2. Okay, a 2 year degree and the right cert, you can get an entry level job in IT. 4 year degree and a couple of advanced certs will get you a mid tier level in IT or at least entry level and make you a very viable candidate.
Hmm.
Now, 3, while you're doing your education, find a place to intern and go get hands-on experience, or you need to be doing projects at home. But I say the internship and the projects is the best combination so that you can say definitively, I know these things. I know Windows Server 2K22. I know Active Directory. I know these things. I know those things.
Hmm.
And that way, when they say, what's your experience level? Do you know this? And they can pop off a question to you and you have no problem answering that question because you've actually played with this system.
Yeah. It's not just smoke and mirrors.
No,
It's
that's
legit.
talking about.
And that's something I really like about your interns here.
Mhm.
They were helping us out at DigiMarcon, so they're getting hands-on experience
Yes,
as well, actually working in the work environment in
right,
addition to their studies, which is really
right.
cool that you do that at the DoD Training Center. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to do something to give back to the community,
mhm.
and because I always believe that education was power, knowledge is power, and somebody confided in not confided, excuse me, they imbued and poured into me a bunch of knowledge and resources
Mhm.
that I use to get to where I'm at today. And so if I can give the same thing back, I'm like, great. How do I do that? Well, I already have this business where I'm doing this with service members, and that's wonderful, but they're required to get it. Like, you will be certified today, or you will, right?
Yeah.
But then one of my proteges, he got out of the military, started working with Job Corps, and says, "Hey Ray, why don't you come down here and give them a speech?" And so I talked to their IT tech program department,
Mhm.
all of them,
Mhm.
and their work-based learning program coordinator talked to me and said, "Hey, would you be willing to take on some students?" And I said, "I've been wanting to do an internship program and give back to the community. Hey, this is great." And so I wound up taking in a group of students from the Job Corps. This is my second cohort, the one that's here.
Mhm.
This group of students.
Mhm.
This is my second cohort that I've had with the Job Corps. The first one, and here's the power of getting the right education, being able to walk it like you talk it. I had 4 students get several certifications, and one of them just got his first IT job making 25 an hour up in Los Angeles.
Fantastic.
The rest of them are on their way to getting their jobs, but they all walked away with 2 certs. My current group going through the training at DoD Training Center, well, they all have earned at least one certification, which is their A plus, passing 2 exams because you got to do 2 tests in order to get that one cert.
Is that the CompTIA one?
Yes, the
Yeah.
CompTIA one,
Yeah.
right? So CompTIA A plus requires 2 exams for the Core 1 and Core 2. In the first 3 weeks that we all were together, all 6 of them took their tests and have passed their A plus exam. So now they're Core 1 certified. That's faster than anything that they've done at the Job Corps. So they're like, wow, how are you doing this? Not going to give away the secret sauce, but I'm pretty good at being a trainer and running my mouth. But now they're going towards their second certification, doing their Network Plus. And here's the trifecta. The equivalent of the Navy or the military, other military branches, their ITA school, their basic training in IT is your A plus, Core 1 and Core 2, your Network Plus, and your Sec Plus. If you go get those and you have a couple of projects, you now have the baseline training for somebody to say, I think you're a certified and trained IT. And then you got to talk it right at the interview.
Yes.
But if you can do that,
that's your foot in the door.
There's your foot in the door. It'll take some time and diligence because, again, there's a lot of noise out there, but you cut that down by what you put out there in the world as far as your resume and your LinkedIn and your profiles and things. Your social media for the corporate environment is your LinkedIn. You must have one. Otherwise, you're invisible. They do not know you.
And then you wind up being like this finely pressed minted coin. I'll show up. How cool is this? You want to talk a little bit about this? This is pretty cool.
Okay. Well, actually, yes. Let me take this thing out of the wrapper, and I'll talk about it from 2 aspects. I'm going to transition. So, in the military, and it came back from the days of selling ships and pirates, right? But
arg,
arg matey, right?
Yeah.
Say we go through Chisa. I go I am I are, but
the pirate's favorite letter, yes.
Right? R. I say, what are you doing? Say, Pirates of the Caribbean. So one of my favorite movies. Now, I hated it when I was, like much younger. I was like, oh, that's a girls' movie, and I know. I'm sorry, ladies, it sounds sexy, but no. So Davy Jones is like my favorite character. I love and do you fear death? You saying it?
Yeah.
So, but coming from that time, this doubloon was a symbol that you belong to or affiliated with a particular group or band, tribe of pirates or peoples. Even back in ancient Egypt and stuff, or Rome, if you had this coin, it meant that you were part of the group, and this is how you got passage. Well, bring it forward to today. In the military, we give away challenge coins as a way of saying thank you, because we're not allowed to actually give direct money tips to other service members for well and good deeds done. So what we do is we say thank you by giving them a challenge coin, or what they call a Bravo Zulu. Okay, Bravo Zulu. Bravo Zulu means good job. And so we would give these away with a hearty handshake and go like that, and we'll leave you with a coin, right?
Very cool.
But let me talk about this real quick. Hold that up. So every coin has a specific there is a specific meaning behind everything on the coin. So I'm going to tell you about my coin, DoD Training Center's coin, rather. So if you flip it to the front, you can tell those are ones and zeros here. If you hold it a little bit closer, you can see the ones and zeros. So those ones and zeros say DODTC in binary.
Oh, wow. Really cool.
Yeah. So there's always a hidden message in every coin, right?
Yeah.
So DODTC written out in binary. Here's us. The East Coast office, the headquarters, started off in Columbia, Maryland. They have since moved down to Virginia, in the Stafford area. But 2006 is when the headquarters got started. San Diego started in 2019. So the 2 start dates of the 2 offices, and then the Eagle, which the original founder, creating owner of DoD Training Center, the name itself, was a comic fan and liked Batman and all of that stuff. And so
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of Avengers,
right?
That feeling, yeah.
So it's a cross between the two, between Nightwing and then Captain America's Eagle.
Yeah.
Right. So then flip it over to the backside, right? Oh, and actually, hold on, one more thing, the numbers. So usually these coins will come. They'll come in a sequenced order with a sequence number on them, right? So my business partner got coin number one because he's the original owner. I am the second partner. I got coin number two. Now, take it to the Chiefs mess. Every chief, when you go through season, has their own kind of favorite number or thing. And in the charge book, we write down orders, or we're going to receive charges when we make chief. And every chief has their own favorite page. So my nickname when I was growing up was Seven Up because I didn't drink at the time. I drink now. I didn't drink at the time, and so I always had Seven Up. So they would call me Seven Up. And as you get older, like the artist formerly known as, so I became Seven. And so my lucky numbers always had a seven. So 7 and 77. So this is one of those coins, one of my personal coins that I keep at home that has the seven and the other 77 coin, which is actually over there on the table. So sequence numbers, you pick a number based off of the ones that matter to you and what has semblance. Okay, the backside. So on the backside of this, I train. So we're DoD Training Center. I train with the DoD all the time. The year that I minted these, I actually did training at the Pentagon. My first time going there. Go figure. After 20 years, I had to get out of the military to go to the Pentagon. That place is massive. You can walk through there in the same direction 5, 6, 7 minutes and never hit the same thing twice. Going around the whole loop is a 15, no, like 20-minute walk, right? So
I've seen some pictures.
just massive
pillars,
and well, there's 10 floors. So
10
you look at
floors.
that building and it looks flat. No, there's 10 floors.
Yeah.
Wait, and the basement.
Yeah.
Holy
And each
moly.
one of those goes on forever.
Right,
So,
and each one of those goes on forever. And then if you cross the Pentagon
Uh-huh.
at any one of the corridors, it is it is literally a long walk. But hey, let's take a walk. Like it's literally a long walk. You go, oh no.
It's like a 30-minute walk. Yeah.
So, but then the rest of these, if you look real closely, these are going to symbolize the different branches of service. Can you guess which one was mine?
Well, you worked in the Navy, right?
Yes. So, what do you think? The top or the bottom?
Let's see. That'd be. Oh, they both have boats. Clever.
Both
clever.
have boats.
Probably top one, I guess.
The top one,
Yes.
right. So my first ship was an aircraft carrier, the USS Kitty Hawk. Then the other one, which see if that red stripe in it?
Yes.
Okay. All the Coast Guard ships are white, painted white with a red stripe, right? So these represents the different branches, right, of service, including the Space Force, right, the newest branch.
All right.
They should have had Navy ranks in them, and they decided to go with the Air Force ranks. I'm like, you guys just messed up. But final thing here, these. So if you see these little sparky looking things, so if you look up the Navy IT rating insignia, the symbol for a Navy IT, it's actually got these lightning bolts in that same pattern. And so I incorporated that into the coin. So every coin has like a meaning all the way across it. So if you see command coins, different coins, and in my environment that I instruct and train in, it is just we create a community of technicians that want to aspire to be great and be better and to have a sense of belonging.
Yes, right.
And we do that through our community and our training. So I wanted to again just officially give you this.
Oh wow!
And just say,
thank you.
Thank you for having me here and being so hospitable with me because you've taken me and my interns in and treated us very kindly. And so let you know that you're welcome anytime to come and broach our doors at DoD Training Center.
Amazing. Wow, what a privilege that is. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Ray. And again, this is extraordinary. See, this is happening live. I had no idea he was going to do this. That's amazing. Thank you very kindly. It's been a real pleasure to be here and speak with you. Thank you so much for being a part of DigiWorkCon and Texpo. And all the best to you and your teams.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, too, the volunteers have been outstanding, the ones that you brought. They're hard workers, and we would not have this happen if we didn't have the volunteers that we do. So
excellent. And if you ever need some more staff or workers, like I would love to come back and volunteer and have my interns volunteer at other events. And so I'm looking forward to hearing any opportunities that you have in the future. And if you come back to town, come catch me. There's one on me.
Fantastic. Oh, and on ending on that, how can people look up you if they'd like to find you?
Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Raymond Hughes on your LinkedIn profile. Look for the guy with the beard, the big head. DoD Training Center San Diego.com if you want to find DoD Training Center for out here. Anybody West Coast California, anybody in the DoD can find me that way.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, there's also dodtc.com, which goes to headquarters and myself. And then you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and message me at any time you like.
Fantastic. You heard it right from Ray himself, Mr. Chief. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you all who are watching at home and who are here in person as well at DigiMarcon and Texpo.